Hello my art friends. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do two really simple and easy watercolor techniques. We're going to be using two different pieces of paper. I want you to do one of your paper's warm colors and one of your paper's cool colors. So warm colors on this side of the color wheel, things that make us feel warm, like yellow like the sun or orange like fire, and cool colors on this side of the color wheel, so like blue like water, green like grass. So one paper warm, one paper cool. We're going to learn two different techniques today. One technique, we're going to be using a white oil pastel. It's called an oil pastel resist. And for the second technique, we're going to be using some rubbing alcohol that's in these little cups and a Q-tip. So on your first paper, we are going to start with the oil pastel resist. Now, because the oil pastel has oil in it, it's going to be like putting a raincoat on your paper. So whenever you wear a raincoat outside, the water just kind of slips off. And the same thing's going to happen when you use your oil pastel. So you want to kind of push down pretty hard because you want to get a lot of pastel on your actual paper. Now I'm just going to do some really simple patterns. You're not going to be able to see it very much because you're doing white on white paper. Just kind of make it up. You can do squiggly lines, zigzag lines, polka dots. Alright, that's pretty good. Now, we're going to pick up our paintbrush. And I think on this paper I want to make it warm color. So I'm going to stick on this side of my watercolor tray. Let's get some red. And for this to work, you kind of have to make sure that you have a lot of water on your brush. And you want to gently go over top of your oil pastel, and you're going to see it's like serious magic. So your oil pastel is just going to start to appear wherever you put it. Try to use a variety of warm colors. I'm not just going to use red. I'm going to go in and get some orange too. And some yellow. Ooh, yes, I like the way that's looking. Now remember, you've got to have quite a bit of water on your brush. If you use a really dry brush, this technique is definitely not going to work. And you also want to make sure that you're pressing down pretty hard on your oil pastel, otherwise you're not going to be able to see those lines like you can see my lines. You're going to keep going until you finish your entire paper. Now your paper is going to be a little bigger than mine, so it might take you a little bit longer. And take your time. I'm just going quick because I'm making an example. Perfect. Alright, I'm going to set this paper aside. And I'm going to show you the next technique. I'm going to be using cool colors, so the colors on this side of my watercolor tray. And for this technique, we're going to be using this stuff. It's rubbing alcohol, and it kind of creates a reaction with the watercolors that makes this really cool bubble texture. And for this technique to work, you also have to use a lot of water on your brush, and you probably want to use dark colors. It works best with dark colors. So I'm going to use this dark purple. You also want to have a lot of paint on your brush. I'm going to swirl around a couple times, get some more water. I'm going to work in little tiny sections, so I'm not going to do very much at a time. Now, I've done a little spot. It's still wet. This is really important. So while your paint is still wet on your paper, you're going to pick up your Q-tip and just kind of dab wherever you want to make a little bubble. And it makes this really interesting pattern. Let's see here. I think I want to use some blue since I'm still using my cool colors. little sections, and while it's still wet, I want my bubbles to be a little smaller, so I'm just going to kind of tap on my Q-tip like that. Remember, you want a lot of water and a lot of paint on your paper. If you use a dry brush and not a lot of paint, the effect is not going to be as pretty. So keep going until you finish covering your whole paper. Take your time. Remember, you need to work in small sections so that your paper doesn't get dried up before you have time to do the rubbing alcohol. And dark colors work best, so if you're using yellow for this, it doesn't really work as well, but dark purple, dark blue, dark red, any of those colors look really nice. Alright, so when you're done, you should have one warm colored paper and one cool colored paper. If you want to do the rubbing alcohol technique with the warm colors, you can, or if you want to do the white oil pastel with the cool colors, you can. You just need to make sure that you have one warm and one cool paper.